Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, distinguished guests, and folks of all stripes, put your hands together for the Space Cadet Sports Podcast. Houston, we have Paul Salazar Jr.
Hey y'all, welcome back to the Space Cadet Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Paul Salazar Jr. You can find the Space Cadet Sports Podcast on the Substack. You can get all of the game recaps, all of the game series previews, all of the memes, all of the silliness, all on the Substack. You can check that out at spacecadetsports.substack.com. I'm your host, Paul Salazar Jr. I am a comedy writer, improviser, comedian, ridiculous person, all-around silly goose. I'm a Houston native. I was born and raised in Houston, Texas, and I live out here in Los Angeles, where I'm recording this podcast from right now. I am out here with my co-host and producer, Carla the dog. Carla the dog is here with us today. She is sitting out front. I have the front door open because that's what I heard is the best thing for podcasting. Make sure you get a lot of extra sound in. Make sure that your neighbors know you're Houston Astros fans in Los Angeles. That is really safe. So that's what we're doing here today, folks. Definitely want to say what's up to the repeat listeners. If you're new here, thanks for listening. This is your podcast for diehard Astros fans and diehard Astros coverage. It is a fan podcast that I run because, frankly, there's just not a lot of positive news about the Astros from most national media. Most podcasters tend to just talk about how angry they are all the time, and yeah, it's been a tough season. But I've just always been frustrated by that. Like, why is everybody just all so angry all the time with a team that has had such consistent success and has really spoiled its fandom? We have a lot of complaining, ridiculous fans. Maybe they're just fair weathers. Maybe they're casuals. I don't know. But I just couldn't take some of the media that was out there. So why not try to figure out how to do a fan podcast yourself? And that's what we're doing here, folks. Still figuring out a lot of stuff in our first year of the podcast. A lot of times I will get into the statistics. A lot of times I'll just do regular recaps or kind of just general talking about the Astros is always what's going to be found here. But we're still figuring it out. We're still finding our feet. I definitely have had to take some time away from the blog and the podcast this week, folks. I do apologize. Just a bunch of personal things that popped up that I just quite wasn't ready for, and this is still a small operation. When I'm not available, it's hard to keep this going. It's hard to do this when I don't have the time to do it because life is pulling me in a lot of different directions. So I apologize for a slower week with the blog and the podcast, folks, but I am back. We didn't get to do a series preview with the Minnesota Twins, but we have Carlos Correa that has come back to town in Houston. That the first game was won by the Twins, and just today the Astros were able to take a game back, beating the Twins 5-2 in the first day of June. Really getting June off to a good start, folks. But yeah, we can kind of we really didn't get to talk about the Seattle series, which was something that I was very much looking forward to. I was hoping to be able to break that down a little bit more. But seeing that we didn't get to really recap that or preview the Twin series, we're going to kind of do that both here in this podcast today. We're also going to talk about some roster movement, some pitching changes, just general all-around Astros content here today, folks. And yeah, like I was saying earlier, there's generally a lot of negative content out there revolving around the Houston Astros. A lot of the national media really does not take too kindly to the Astros, and a lot of the local media just tends to revolve around what they are not doing, and just a bunch of hate and anger, and just honestly, it sounds like a lot of entitled fans. Maybe I've just been an Astros fan since the late 80s, early 90s, and I have seen a lot of bad baseball in my time, and I just don't understand. I just feel like a lot of people, what have you done for me lately? It's like they always expect World Series But we're gonna talk realistically about this team as well. I'm not just gonna sugarcoat everything. But this is a fan's take simultaneously. I just want to let that be known. So let's get to it here, folks. The Seattle Mariners were able to beat the Astros 3-1 in the 4-game series. It was not exactly the road trip that I was looking for. We were able to get the Oakland A's in their series. We beat them 2-1. But losing, that last week of May was not exactly how I wanted it to play out. The Astros did perform admirably against the Seattle Mariners. It's really funny. I feel like this. I've mentioned on the blog. Go check out the article I wrote about the Astros start and just how it's been real hit or miss. They really haven't been able to have been firing on all cylinders at all this season. It seems like if the pitching is working, then the batting isn't working. If the batting is on fire, then our starting pitching just can't get it together. If our starting pitching is figuring it out, the back end of the bullpen is struggling. It just seems like it's been a frustrating season where nothing has really gone completely right. The team has not been running, firing on all cylinders is what I'm trying to say here. I think, when you look at the first game on Monday, they lost 2-3. They lost on Tuesday 2-4. They lost on Wednesday 1-2. So it's like all of these close games, all of these games with the Mariners, were kind of how I thought they were going to be, in the sense that it was going to be pitching affairs. Now, I'm very proud of the Astros. The starting pitching was able to be pretty solid throughout the Mariners. The Mariners series here. I really think that I was very concerned about the starting pitching, and the starting pitching really showed up. What didn't show up was timely hitting. Towards the end of the month here, Kyle Tucker kind of has gone on a bit of a cold streak. Who has been the man? He has been. We were just talking about Kyle Tucker and the ramifications of him playing so well and what it could mean for the Astros financially going forward. And he kind of did us solid by cooling off a bit there, at least when it comes to contract negotiations. But we want Kyle Tucker to obviously be playing well. So it was tough to see Kyle Tucker not really do his best. I don't think the Astros losing is all on Kyle Tucker. That would be absolutely absurd. I'm just saying that it's problematic. It really shines a light on the problems that the Astros have had all season. Earlier in the season, Altuve and Alvarez were really on fire, and Pena has been consistent throughout. Myers has been consistent throughout, but Bregman has been slow, and it's and now that Kyle Tucker has started popping off and really having an MVP style month. Jordan and Altuve have started to slow down a bit. Pena took a slight step back. Yainer Diaz honestly has not hit a home run in quite some time. We're missing some slugging from him. Obviously, the Abreu issues, and Singleton having a good start of his month and cooling off a bit, at least in the slugging category. It's just been a lot of ups and downs for the Astros. Not a lot of consistency throughout the lineup and from the team. And that has really been the frustrating thing about these Astros this season, is their lack of consistency. Pardon me. I apologize, folks. I am suffering from a cold. It's part of the thing that has been slowing me down this week as well. So yeah, if you're out there, make sure you're taking care of yourself. Make sure you're staying healthy. There's a lot of illnesses going around this summer, folks. But yeah, the Astros have very, very much been frustrating this last week in terms of consistency, in terms of offensive consistency. And then, obviously, yesterday on the last day of the season, the Astros offense did not show up again, only scoring one run against the Minnesota Twins, losing 6-1. It was really tough to see Ronald Blanco have a struggle of a game, but you really have to tip your hat to the Minnesota Twins in this instance. They really performed against Ronald Blanco. It wasn't that Ronald Blanco wasn't sharp. He brought his A game. However, the Twins just really outlasted him. What their game plan of of just spoiling pitches and keeping Ronel Blanco throwing pitches really worked out. They were able to get Ronel Blanco out of the game early. They were able to put on the hurt on the Astros early, and they were able to win the game. They're also able to win the game behind great pitching. The great pitching from Pablo Lopez, who really did a great job against the Astros. That pitcher for the Twins has had an up and down season, but the Astros were not at their best against Lopez. And their offense, it seems like, I was expecting their offense to struggle a little bit against Seattle's stellar pitching. Seattle has amazing pitching. They have great starting pitching. They have a great bullpen. But you were hoping they were able to do more damage. You also, they were striking out quite a lot. It was not what you want to see. I think they need a little bit of tweaking to their offensive approach to the plate. A lot of people have been complaining about the Astros and their offense and their offensive approach to the plate and how free swinging they can be at times. I really think the first time through in the lineup, a lot of times what's happening is the Astros are swinging at pitches that they know they can do something with, and as the game goes on, they tend to be more selective. Sometimes this can spell trouble for the Astros when they're playing against really good pitchers that are able to throw strikes and are able to make the Astros think that they can do something with these pitches that are coming through, whether they are pitches that break and the Astros miss, or whether they're pitches that the Astros can't get a hold of, don't put a barrel on it, and get soft contact. Either way you look at it, the Seattle Mariners were able to really be effective against the Astros' aggressive approach the first time through the lineup, and that carried over with Minnesota. The Twins were able to do very well against the Astros in that game yesterday. However, today the Astros are finally able to do something offensively, putting up 5 points. The Astros hilariously were 0 for 3 with runners in scoring position throughout this game. This game was won off of home runs, but hey, we'll take it. The long ball or small ball, it doesn't matter. We want to win. The Astros have done a lot more small ball this season than in seasons past. But, another thing I saw I'm not on X very much anymore, to be honest, but truthfully, I was on Reddit, our baseball Reddit, and I saw that home runs are down across the league, with most teams averaging just over 1 home run a game. As long as it is the internet, a lot of times if I cannot get a secondary source, sometimes I'm hesitant to say it because I don't mind redacting things if I'm wrong, but I just don't want to be spreading misinformation. But it does seem like home runs are very much down throughout the year. For all teams and not just for the Astros. But the Astros going over 3 with the runners in scoring position and leaving 5 on base. It didn't come back to haunt them in this game because of the long ball. Yordan Alvarez was able to hit 2 home runs, 1 in the first and 1 in the fifth. And what do you know? Oh, well, I guess really Tucker hit his 19th home run of the season. Let's get that out there. Got to give Tucker his props. But really, we are really excited at our house about Jose Abreu hitting his first home run of the season. With Jose Abreu being back on the Major League club, I know a lot of people are very critical of it. I do understand. I was critical of it too. I don't get why you bring Jose Abreu up for the Seattle series. I understand why you would bring him up for Oakland. I get that. Have him hit against Oakland, 100% for sure. That's fine. But bringing him up back to the Major League club so that he could face the pitching from the Seattle Mariners, where there's not a lot of room to hide. I thought they were doing him a huge disservice by bringing him up, but truthfully, maybe what they were doing is seeing what he can do to really put the pressure on him to see what he has. And from my eye test, I always watch all of the games. One of the things I always say, I will let you know when I don't watch a game and when I'm just going off of the box score, when I'm speculating based off of things I didn't see. But I don't like to be that type of podcaster. I don't like to be that type of blogger. I feel like a lot of people, they don't watch the games and they get on the pod and they get angry. They're ready to rage against the machine and be upset about things. But truthfully, from what I could see from Jose Abreu, is that his swing is a little better. I'm not sure if he's quite there yet. He isn't quite at the playoff Abreu that we're hoping we get back, but I think he has improved his swing. The timing looks a little bit better. He doesn't look quite as lost. He doesn't look, honestly, he kind of looked humiliated a lot of times in the first month of this season, So it's good to see Jose Abreu back. Popped off a button here for him. I put my beard in a rubber band because here we stand Jose Abreu. I know it's frustrating to have a player that gets paid a lot of money and is struggling, but this guy is on our team, whether we like it or not, for the next year or so. I do not see a reality in which Jose Abreu is going to be traded. I don't see a reality in which he's going to be DFA'd because I don't think the Astros want to be that team. The Astros have been a very player-friendly team throughout this golden age. People want to play for the Houston Astros, not necessarily because they are, the most high, the biggest market or a team that a lot of people like, but because of the culture and because they take care of players here. Veteran players want to sign with teams that take care of their veterans. The Astros know that if they DFA Jose Abreu, there'll be a lot more hesitant veterans in the twilight of their careers that would be willing to sign with the Astros. I do not see a reality in which Jose Abreu is DFA'd. So for better or worse, this man is going to be an Astro, for the duration of his contract. And I, for one, cheer on the Astros. So while I might disagree that they brought him, with when they brought him up, I would have loved to see them be brought back for a homestand. The Astros aren't toxic fans. It's not like he's going to be booed out of the batter's box when he returns. I just don't understand why the Astros brought him up for that Seattle series. It really put the pressure on him, and I don't think this team needs more pressure. I don't think you need to put the pressure on him. I think he knows the stakes of him not being the everyday first baseman. And he hasn't been the everyday first baseman since he's been back. To the people that have been panicking about, what's this mean? It was good to see him hit a home run. It's good to see Abreu start to do better. I think he's going to be in that 8-hole for a while, and he'll probably, he will not start every game at first base. He'll start 2 out of 3 games in a series at first base. John Singleton will probably start 2 out of 3 games in the series, 1 at first and 1 at DH. I anticipate that's what they do forward, but we shall see. Folks, it was good to see Framber Valdez have a bounce back game in this in this outing. He was able to pitch 7 innings. He gave up 2 hits, gave up a run that was an earned run. He gave 2 walks and got 4 strikeouts. Framber Valdez looked to be more like himself. There was a little bit of issues with the fly balls in the first part of the game. They obviously didn't go out of the field, but it was a little different to see Framber Valdez give up so many fly balls, wondering if it was location issues, wondering if there's just little adjustments he needs to make. But I mean, overall, he was throwing a no-hitter for a while, and he was throwing a shutout game for quite, I think, up into the 7th inning that he pitched. So Framber Valdez really does look like he's turning it around. Framber can be a very much, he could be a Jekyll Hyde type pitcher. He's very emotional. I can't say anything. I'm a very emotional man myself. I'm not trying to talk no shade over here, but we're hoping that he can build off of this success because he also, while he can be a little bit of Jekyll Hyde, he also, has more quality starts strung together than so many other pitchers. So, this guy does have what it takes to be able to be consistent. We're just hoping that he can keep going forward. Abreu also had a pretty decent outing. He gave up 2 hits. He did look a little bit like the heart attack Abreu that he's been this season, where he gives up some hits, can give up some walks. Seems like he can get into some trouble, but he only gave up 1 earned run. We're hoping that he can just start really solidifying his performances, but this was a little bit of a tougher one for him. But I do think, based off of the pitches he was throwing, what he's looking like, I do think this guy can get right this season. But we're already into the summer, so we're hoping that he gets right sooner than later. Josh Hader was able to pick up his 8th save of the season in this game. So while Abreu did give up a run. I guess he did make a situation in which Hader was able to pick up another save. Looking forward for the last game of this series here. The Twins tomorrow morning will be sending out Woods Richardson, a right-handed pitcher who has had a decent start to this season, and the Astros will have Hunter Brown return to the mound, where we're hoping that he can continue his turnaround from his disappointing start to the season and start winning some games here. Yeah, so we're rooting on Hunter tomorrow morning and hoping that the Astros can win this series. Obviously, they are not in a position in which they can lose many games. Then going into the next week, they will be playing the St. Louis Cardinals at home for a 3-game series before they are off on Thursday. But yeah, the biggest news here that we do need to talk about, not to bury the lead too much. I did want to recap a little bit there and talk a little bit about the games. But the biggest news right now is definitely the injuries to Christian Javier and to Jose Urquidy. Christian Javier obviously had been put on the IL. Jose Urquidy was trying to make a minor league rehab start, had to get pulled for forearm discomfort. And both of these pitchers are looking for a second opinion. And we'll get that after they get that second opinion. They will let we will have to figure out what the situation is for those pitchers. I really so seeking a second opinion is not the best look. I do think that there is a reality in which both of these pitchers are done for the season. I don't want to be doom and gloom. Obviously, Urquidy has not pitched for the Astros in a regular season game yet. Christian Javier has been a little up and down this season, but we were hoping for more stability from him. It's sad news. It's sad news. There's really no other way to put it. I do think that that even if they come back this season, it might not be for some time. So with Christian Javier and Jose Urquidy being out, this does make room in the rotation for Hunter Brown and Spencer Arrighetti, to see which one of them wants to kind of stay in the rotation and which one of them might move to the bullpen or move to Sugarland, be relegated back down. But it's tough stuff. There's really no other way to put it. With the Astros dealing with as many starting pitching injuries as they have this season, to see this happen unexpectedly, not that you could just expect injuries, but seeing both of them kind of get put on the IL and needing second opinions is alarming. I don't think it's panic meter alarming. But obviously, if the Astros don't start winning more games more consistently and winning series more consistently, it's going to be bad news. This team definitely has struggled with its back end of the rotation as starters this season, and with Christian Javier and Jose Urquidy most likely being out for some time, they will need to rely on Hunter Brown. They will need to rely on Spencer Arrighetti, and I do think that these pitchers have major league stuff and have what it takes to win games for the Astros, but it has been a tough season for them so far. So we're hoping that they can really turn it on, use some of this success that they've used recently, and keep pitching outside of their mind, and we might even still need a JP France or somebody to come back up because of these injuries. You just don't know. Now the Astros did call back up Sean Dubin from the last time we spoke. The Astros picked up Alex Spees. They also brought Alex Spees to the major leagues, and then he pitched for them, and they sent him back down to the minors. He's part of the Dana Brown pitching carousel. So thank you for your service, Alex Spees. We do appreciate you. Now, Sean Dubin has been called back up to the Major League team, and Sean Dubin is able to be a starting pitcher as well. He has only been used out of the bullpen so far this season, but we will see how he will be used going forward. Obviously, May was a tough month for the Astros in terms of not only, I mean, it was a better month for them compared to April, that's for sure. But schedule wise, it was a very tough month for them with just 2 days off in the entire month. Obviously, the Astros will have more days off. They have a day off every week in June, so that is something you like to see. They will probably not need a six-man rotation for that, but in case Hunter Brown or Spencer Getty has some struggles, needs to be pulled out early. You do have Sean Dubin there as a little bit of a safety net now that Brandon Belak is no longer the long relief option for the Houston Astros. So we will see what happens there. It's definitely when it comes to injuries, it's been a tough year for the Astros. We do have Luis Garcia, who was announced yesterday. He threw a live batting practice session at Minute Maid Park, and he says he's feeling great. So hopefully we can get Luis Garcia back. Maybe there is a time frame for him to come back soon. We're really not sure if we what where he's at. Obviously, there has been live pitching practice and bullpens for other pitchers that have potentially been healthy and come back, like Christian Javier and Jose Urquidy, and not quite been there yet. So we don't want to count our chickens before they hatch here with Luis Garcia. We do need him, but it's we just are hoping for good health for all of our pitching, and especially our starting pitching. But we're hopeful that Luis Garcia can make it back to the team. This also makes that signing of Bauer, I believe, Lauer. Sorry about that, Mr. Eric Lauer. It does make that signing for Lauer a little bit more important for Dana Brown with some starting pitching injuries that have popped up. I was like, well, maybe this is because we just know we've had a lot of starting pitching injuries and we're just nervous. We know we need depth. We've seen what we get out of some of our other minor league starters. Let's, maybe see if there's another veteran arm out there. So there is a potential for Lauer to make it back up to the team. If he does, that's part of his contract. He does get more money for making it to the major league level. So I know he's wanting that. We'll see if the Astros do tap him for some more. Probably just relief. Wouldn't expect a spot start unless there's more injuries. Hopefully, knock on wood, that won't happen. I really think that the Astros need to get right. They need to get healthy. First and foremost, they need healthy starting pitching. At this point, we cannot expect our rotation to be the rotation that we wanted at the beginning of the season. We're more looking at the rotation we have. Instead of looking in the past, we need to be in the present and live in the moment. And honestly, we need to evaluate some of these pitchers. If Hunter Brown and Spencer Getty are not able to be as consistent as we need them to be, the training wheels are kind of off now. It's now the summer. There's not as many. There's not the pressure is not that insane. Like, it's not playoff baseball quite yet. We're not losing the division today. However, if we don't start winning series, then these losses will really add up. And losing those games to Seattle really hurt because those were the games that we needed to rise back up in the division. Obviously, the Astros weren't able to win those games, so they're still sitting in third place in the division, 6 games behind Seattle now. They have some climbing to do. Obviously, there's plenty of baseball left to be played, but this summer, now that we're getting to the summer, the Astros are really going to have to turn it on. They're really going to have to, I really think this starting pitching is solidifying, and I do think the Astros are now in a position where GM Dana Brown and pitching coach Josh Miller and manager Joe Espada are really going to have to make some tougher decisions and harder decisions with these prospects or with these younger pitchers. And if they're not able to execute, there will have to be another pitcher brought in. And I do not think the Astros have a big signing in them. Lauer was their signing, so they will just have to rotate pitchers in to figure out who can execute and who can actually snag those spots in the back end of the rotation. Right now, it really looks like Hunter Brown and Spencer Arrighetti want those spots, and they've made the adjustments. They just need to continue to be consistent. And I think they have it in them. I do think that they have what it takes to really solidify the back end of this rotation. It's just right now, we cannot afford for them to have tough first innings and tough starts that don't go deep into the game and really kind of eat into our bullpen depth there. And also on the offense, obviously the struggle for the Astros this season hasn't really been offense, but what it has been is timely hitting, or you can call it clutch hitting. This really hasn't looked like the Astros. The Astros have been a team that makes teams pay for their mistakes. They really show up when it's clutch. They have timely hitting. This doesn't look like the team that I know and love from the Golden Era, and not just because of their Fanatic jerseys. I mean, this looks like the Fanatic Astros, not the Majestic Astros. You know what I'm saying? This isn't the same team. This looks kind of like a knockoff because they seem so similar to that team. They have good hitting. A lot of their offensive statistics are pretty high up there when you rank them and look at the league. But what they don't do is convert all of that hitting into more runs and convert those runs into winning. It seems like they're always a couple runs away from winning the game, and when that happens, you really start to look at how many men are left on base. How many hits did they get out of how many opportunities with runners in scoring position? And a lot of that time, those stats really don't matter when you're winning games. But when you're losing games, you look at those, and those hurt so much more. So what the Astros, I think, really need to focus on is just consistently sticking to their game plan. I think right now it is not the time to change what the Astros do. I mean, the Astros are a really good team. They've been historically a good team. And a lot of what they're doing, there is success to that. They are getting hits. They are getting, they do have a good OPS plus as a team. There's lots of things that they do well, but if they start panicking, changing too many things, it could spell trouble for them. So people on the internet, the people on Reddit, the Xers, the X-Boys, all these people out there are really frustrated by the Astros' aggression. I'm saying that they almost not double down on the aggression, but focus up on it. Obviously, there's going to be players that are more aggressive than others. So the first time through, Jose Altuve being aggressive on pitches is going to be completely different than Alex Bregman being aggressive on pitches. I do think that they need to be aggressive. They need to make pitchers pay for when they're pouring strikes into the strike zone. You don't want them to sit back and take too many pitches when they're a team that does great slugging and able to make some damage happen early. You want the Astros to put some teams away early and to do some damage against pitchers and knock them out of games so we can get to their bullpen. But simultaneously, while I am wanting them to be aggressive, what we cannot afford is for these Astros to be swinging out of the strike zone, which has been happening way too frequently. I think a lot of pitches outside of the zone and outside of what these players can do, outside of these players' hot spots, sometimes those are the pitches you take. You need to let those pitches go. So obviously, this is some real John Madden style projecting here. But if the Astros are able to get timely hitting by staying consistent to their offense, by swinging at strikes and not swinging at the balls, they'll be fine. That's what this team does well. And this team has also done a little better with aggressive base running, being able to put men in scoring position a little better. I mean, Yordan Alvarez stole 2 bases in one game the other day. So, I do like that. I know aggressive base running can sometimes cost you, but I do like how aggressive the Astros are being, and I think they have to keep a little bit of that while simultaneously making sure that they are getting good long at-bats by not swinging at junk. It's easier said than done. Obviously, if I could do this, I would not be podcasting. I wouldn't be a Major League Baseball player, but maybe I'd be able to at least, be on some minor league team here. If I was able to actually do what I'm saying here. So easier said than done. But I do think the Astros have what it takes to be able to find better results with this group of players and with their offensive strategy. I'm optimistic about Jose Abreu. I don't think Jose Abreu is an everyday starting first baseman right now, but I do think that with John Singleton's prowess, with the way he's been able to hold down the first base position on the field, and the way that he's been able to be one of our best consistent hitters in terms of being patient at the plate and getting a hit when he can do something with it, I really think that the platoon of Singleton and Abreu can be good for the Astros, and it can be good for both of these players and get Abreu to a better spot, because truly, the Astros need Abreu to be successful in order to be a really good team, or in order to be a successful team into the playoffs, because we're spending a lot of money on this guy. We don't have a lot of other first base options. There's not a lot of other first base options in the league. We need Jose Abreu to bare minimum be a serviceable baseball player on this roster. So we really need to be rooting for Abreu. We really still need to be rooting for Singleton, because we don't want him to lose some of that swag. We're going to need him too. We want everybody on this roster 1 through 9 to be consistent and to be hitting well. So I'm really looking forward to seeing this platoon work out beautifully. I really think it will, folks. And with all of that optimism, and with that being said, we're going to go ahead and wrap up this podcast for today, folks. Thank you so much for listening to the Space Cadet Sports Podcast. Please go check out the Substack. Go check it out at Substack. I'm sorry. And you can go to Substack.com. You won't find my blog specifically. Where you want to go is spacecadetsports.substack.com. Go ahead and be a subscriber there, where you can get every article, every podcast sent to your email inbox, so you don't miss anything. Get all the memes, all the silliness directly into your email box for free. That doesn't cost you anything. Go ahead and go there and give that a sign up. Wherever you're listening to this podcast on, please give us a 5-star review. Subscribe to us on the whatever platform you're listening to us on, and share us with Astros fans. I'm really trying to build a community of diehard Astros fans that want to support this team, that want to know more about this team, and truthfully, I want to be here for you. So if you want me to talk more about advanced stats, I'd love to talk more about advanced stats, or talk about these new StatCast stats that have come out about players' swings, or if you want to go back to more old school stuff and you want me to break down what other other regular statistics mean, and what that means in relation to the analytics, I'd be more than happy to do a deep dive in that sometimes, or just go talk about all kinds of silliness with the Houston Astros, or I'm down. You let me know what you're looking for in this podcast, and we'll definitely try to meet you halfway here at Space Cadet Sports, folks. Thank you so much for listening. I've been your host, Paul Salazar Jr. You can find me on social media at Paul Salazar Jr. My producer and co-host Carla the dog is also on Instagram. You can find cute dog pictures of her at good.dog.carla. Go ahead and check that out, folks. And thank you so much for listening to this podcast. Keep your head up, son. And as always, vamos Astros.